should be the town of the South. Now, if we continue with this kind of sharing formula arrangement, the making of the country, we will never ever get it right. We have to pay attention to those that can actually deliver the dividend and the output that is required. Somebody like me, if supposing I said I want to, whenever I chose to declare myself, I can't call myself the president of the North or the South, or the East or the West, or Muslim or Christian. It's not possible. I have to be the president of Nigeria because that's what I know, that's what I have been living, moved all around the country. So when you look at this sharing formula arrangement, the reason why I say the question are connected somehow is actually why we are facing this problem. The divisions that the party institutionalized is actually what is bringing about the difference between man to man. Meanwhile, they are living in the same borders. And there is no country on earth that will ever grow without collective, strong unity against any other external interference. And that is why people that are coming from outside are even breaking us. This division started even from independence, when we now have 3 zones. The East went with Azikiwe, the West went with Awolo, and the North went with Ahmadu Bello. It's a sharing formula. None of them come to the center to contribute something in most cases. They come to collect share and take it back to their zones. And eventually there are agitations and counter-agitations. After the military come, we have 12 of those zones. You know, the Azikiwes and the Sardaunas and the Awos, they now multiplied into 12 zones. From there are other agitations again that multiplied them into 19. They now multiplied into 30, and now we have 36. All of them coming to Abuja to collect check, to go back to their state and feed them from the resources that is coming from the ground. That is why I said the question I interrogated, because this also brings about the issue of the oil sector that the other guys were asking. We have very serious problem whereby everybody will have to come and collect a share from the center. And this share is coming from oil proceeds that we get. And suddenly we now have a new government that is trying to unbundle the entire industry and put it out for everybody to see what is happening. Actually, there will be resistance. Today, if you look at the statistics of the amount of money that was spent from 2015 to now on refinery, these are Maribond refineries that we say we are going to do something called turnaround maintenance. About $9.5 billion was spent in making them up. Just not more than I think a year ago or so, $1.5 billion was approved. And to build a standing refinery that will refine up to 250,000 to 300,000 barrels of crude oil don't require more than $3 billion. Now you spend the money that will build 3 refineries from ground zero to what it is. Everybody is now celebrating Dangote Refinery. Dangote Refinery as the largest single refinery on earth today. How much does it require for Dangote to build this? The total amount of money required is $19 billion. It started from 6 billion.
9 point something billion.
That's exactly what it is. So you can imagine this kind of wastages. It means there are some people that are deliberately creating these things to be able to consume. And now, the whole country is under pressure because the asset that is supposed to be distributing to the zones that are supposed to get their own share from the sharing formula arrangement have been denied. So the president created PIA, privatized the NNPC, in all effort to try to unbundle it, which require removal of oil subsidy. Subsidy is a problem, it's a hangover. Whether we remove it today or we decide to keep it, we will have to pay the price. In fact, if we keep this subsidy this year, it's clear that we have to loan money to be able to pay subsidy because we are seriously in debt issue. Although the reason why we are in debt issue is because of our constitution. The constitution limits the debt collection, you know, from government, from the federal government to like $5 billion. And in Nigeria with 216 million people cannot be limited to 5 billion. We are supposed to be borrowing at least $100 billion to be able to see results in our borrowing capacity. But we are limited by that. So the whole thing around the oil industry is a complete cartel that seems to block every other thing other than to themselves. That is why everybody create some certain proposal to be able to extract more money in the name of trying to rebuild, meanwhile they corner it. Now look at the total amount of liters of oil that they say we consume in Nigeria, about 100 million liters per day. How many cars do we have in Nigeria that consume 100 million liters per day? The total number of cars that we have in Lagos are like 2.5 million. If you go to some other state, they have less than 2,000 cars. And then you are talking about 100 million liters per day. This is a problem, and you subsidize it by almost 2/3 of that amount. Where do we have this money? If you took their total amount of money now that we are trying to subsidize, about $4.6 trillion in Naira. This $4.6 trillion and you divide it by 774, each local government per annum is going to take about 6 billion Naira. Now, if you break it into 12, you have each local government having 500 million naira given to oil subsidy. People that are less than 143 or 200 according to some analysis. So when you look at this thing, you see why we are poor. Because if you carry 500 million naira and invest in local government per month, you will transform the economy and the lives of the people in those areas. To build a standing hospital does not cost you more than 250 million naira. A standing 100-bed capacity hospital that is supposed to cater for the life of those people in the local government. But that's what we are paying some few people in the name of subsidy. And people are still fighting against the removal of the subsidy. To the point whereby even the president stopped the removal of the subsidy. Because these are the monies, almost 2/3%, 1/3 of our budget is now going to the hands of the few people. And again, when we make the dollar money from sales of the crude, there are so many requirements that will come from doing turnaround maintenance, to maintaining pipelines, to security of this, to getting this lobby, to a lot of confusion. That is why oil is something we have to create a productivity plan that we run away from completely. Else, we will never get it right in this country. As long as we remain with oil. That's why my contestation is that I don't believe even the president did enough by making NNPC as a limited liability company. You make NNPC as a publicly liability company. Not just at Nigerian standard, but international standard. Carry that whole big... to the best of my knowledge, moribund institution and plug it on a global stock exchange. Take it to Johannesburg Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange, attract dollar. The same way Saudi Aramco has done, Brazil has done with Petrobras, Malaysia have done with Petronas. That's what we need to do. Plug it, attract the dollar. What we need is to build infrastructure. And we have a $1.5 trillion infrastructure gap in Nigeria. So whatever we do, is if we don't attract these dollars to build this infrastructure, we can never grow. No matter what you sell, if you don't have access to market, you're empty. And any country that builds its own structure around not connecting markets, that country doesn't exist. What makes Dubai is markets. What makes almost all the countries, the United States is the largest market. Some people are calling it the United Corporation of America. It's not a state. Why? Because of the largest corporations that is there. How do we have rising corporations in America? Because President Eisenhower in 1953 decided to create highway construction project. Then he budgeted about $60 billion to connect interstate highways across all the United States of America, and then build high-level train network, and then also establish airports. So you have air, rail, water, and road transportation system that enable high level of economic activity. He now expanded the river Mississippi. That Mississippi River, connects almost half of United States, So transporting on water is cheaper than transporting on land. Meanwhile, we have River Benue and River Niger. River Benue, yes. Instead of us to dredge River Benue and River Niger, that will cost $45 billion.
At some point in time, we actually even started that project.
Yes.
I don't know what's happening.
And the people that are making money from trucks and the people that are making money from road constructions will not let that happen. And it's not their fault, because that is the way they want to live their lives. That is why that generation has to go and rest. That is the only way we can be able to re-engineer this country back to productivity. Because if you dredge River Niger and River Benue, you can land River Niger up to Kebbi. You can land River Benue up to Numan in Adamawa State. And if you carry ships from China or any other country, that means you are going to port it in Numan and Kebbi. Almost all the hinterlands, you have different port facilities. Kogi is a central zone. We have steel, Ajakuta Steel Mill, that is 98% completed. Nobody's talking about it. We have Mambila Hydro Plant that is going to give us, is the largest, in fact, in Sub-Saharan Africa, is the largest hydro renewable energy plant in Sub-Saharan Africa. 3,050 megawatts of electricity. Nobody cares about it. These are the things we need to pay attention to, so we can give ourselves energy, we give ourselves transportation, we build high fiber optic networks across the transportation line to have communication. Then we have a country. You don't need Nigerian man to be giving Empower money to be able to sustain himself. All you need is just give him access to market. That is what we need. And that is why all these things I told you, they're actually connected. Exactly. The oil, the North-South divide, and at the same time also, somebody asked about ideology in political party. Which is like maybe my last answer to. Yes, we don't have ideology in all political parties in Nigeria. Thank God, in fact, if you look at PDP is getting towards conservatism, and APC is going towards progressivism. Somebody like me, I'm a progressive conservative, because I'm at the center. So, but I'm hanging in APC. So, and for you to have a standing ideology, you have to define two rights. You have order and stability. that goes for the conservative. And then you have justice and equality, that goes for the liberals or the progressives. So people that are at the center, we have a mix of both. You know, that's why we are now conservative progressives. So when you don't establish party around order, and you can see sometimes this order and stability is naturally in some people. Like my youngest daughter, Bakindo, she naturally don't want me to do some things. When I'm doing some, Daddy, this is wrong. Can you do it this way? She wants me to be more organized, more orderly, because that's why she's born. Then I have a son who is so free. He's the eldest son. Yeah, he likes to do everything is okay to him. So you see clearly this guy is becoming progressive and this guy is becoming conservative. And that's why in advanced democracies, you will see most of these people are born into this kind of structure or are shaped from childhood, even from school they attend to this kind of structures. So what we need also is to institutionalize the political party system, build institutions. Like in our party, we are proposing this progressive institution, National Progressive Institute or APC Progressive Institute, so that we can begin to sensitize people around ideological making from secondary school to tertiary institution to even political leadership position. For you to contest for councillorship, chairmanship, member of assembly, governor, senate or reps, and even president, you have to pass through this institution so that your ideology can be properly authenticated and tallied by the manifesto you are presenting to the Nigerians before you go there. It is only what you have that you can give. If you are not shaped that way, you will only deceive people to say you will give it. At the end of the day, when you get there, you won't do it. And that's why people have to be shaped from young. And that's the bane of that ideology.
Wow. It's been a most interesting conversation today. I can't remember the last time I had this very, very engaging, and you know, I was just held spellbound by all the things you were saying and trying to, you know, assimilate everything. But thank you so much, Adamu Garba II, for coming over. We really, really enjoyed listening to you, and I wish you come back another time so we can have more conversations.
I'm always available for Nigeria Info.
All right, that's so good to know. Thank you so much. We've been conversing, of course, with Adamu Garba, as you guys have heard. He's a PDP chief.